Chairman, thank you for being with us. I first want to get your reaction to this quote-unquote great call between President Trump and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, someone who showed support for calls to execute members of your party and who says she doesn't regret any of her past comments.
Well, I know it's a sad day for Republican politics in America. It's a sad day for a United States congressman, woman, and a president, former president, to be having this kind of discussion. Congresswoman Greene is an embarrassment to us all. But more importantly is in this era of domestic terrorism, the riot we just had in the Capitol on the 6th of January, this is not a good statement. The Republican leadership has to step up at this point and discipline this person who's a member of Congress who obviously is operating not with a full deck.
Some of your colleagues have been outspoken about the threat they feel from some Republican lawmakers like Greene. Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush says she is moving her office away from Greene's for her team's safety. She says this is after Greene berated her in the hallway. And Congresswoman Ilhan Omar tweeting, "Imagine going to work with an armed, hostile, unstable colleague and not having much recourse." Chairman, do you fear Marjorie Taylor Greene or any of your other Republican colleagues?
Well, I've heard from some of my other colleagues that they're very concerned.
Are you afraid of her?
Oh, absolutely not. But the point, more importantly, is we have to set an example. We set examples for not just our children, but we set an example for the world. Can you imagine having to take a gun to a legislative body for whatever she's trying to prove? We are a democracy. If we disagree, we disagree. We shouldn't have to carry a firearm, a weapon, just to prove that I disagree with you. So I think the Republican leadership has to assume the responsibility for discipline this member. We've disciplined other members in the House. We've taken them off committees. We've just basically silenced them. The Republican leadership has to step forward and do what's in the best interest of this country, and that is to take care of Congresswoman Greene.
So what does that mean? What level of discipline is appropriate here? We know there are at least 50 House Democrats calling for her to be expelled from Congress. Do you think she should be expelled?
Well, if she continues to do as she's doing, she leaves us no choice. If she comes and say, look, I get it. I want to be part of this body, and I'm willing to conform to the rules. I won't try to bring another weapon onto the floor of Congress. I won't threat and intimidate other members. I will follow the rules of this body. If not, then you're in the wrong institution.
When you look at, I just think about previous resignations of Democratic members of Congress, Senator Al Franken, of Representative Katie Hill, do you feel like your party holds its members to a different standard?
Well, we've had our members to have stepped back and resign and not run. So I just think that Republicans have to do the same thing. This is a little different. You are now putting members of Congress in harm's way by banishing weapons, by saying what you will do to other members of Congress. This is not who we are as a body. This is not who we are as a nation. And so Congresswoman Greene, in the interest, I think, of civility, in the interest of making and demonstrating who we are as a nation, has to do better. If not, she's in the wrong institution.
She's saying today, and I'm quoting here, "I won't back down. I'll never apologize." That is her mindset, and yet you hear crickets from Kevin McCarthy right now.
Well, he has to assume the leadership now. He's the number one Republican in the House. He can't hide forever.
Do you have confidence in him disciplining her?
Well, it's obvious he's not demonstrating it. So it's whether I have confidence on it or not. He has the #1 position in the Republican Party in the House of Representatives. He has to demonstrate that leadership. Otherwise, he's complicit in what she's doing with his silence.
I want to ask you about President Biden's nominee for DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. He's the only Biden nominee right now, at least so far, to face a Republican filibuster. You wrote an opinion piece on CNN.com arguing the Senate must confirm Mayorkas to ensure Americans' safety. What is the holdup on his confirmation, though? Do you just feel like Republicans aren't taking the domestic extremism threat seriously?
Well, I'm clearly convinced that the acts of January 6th, the riot that occurred, the complicit examples of many Republican members by not criticizing what occurred, has put a real damper on Mayorkas' confirmation. We have to move forward. In the past, the last 2 presidents were able to get their secretary confirmed right after swearing in. This would be no different. In this era of domestic as well as international terrorism, we have to say that this is important to who we are as Americans. It talks about our values. And so him being confirmed, I hope, as you know, is scheduled to come up for a vote. I look forward to a positive vote, but it shouldn't have taken so long. He's a qualified person. He's actually been confirmed on 3 times in the past before the Senate as the #2 person in DHS, as the head of USCIS, and as a U.S. attorney. So there's no question about his competence as a professional. We need to go forward and get him confirmed. And I look forward to that confirmation occurring on this Monday.
Finally, I want to ask you about COVID relief. There are a couple paths, right? One is go big and go quick, even if it means jamming it through with no Republican support, or maybe take a little longer. Maybe not get everything Democrats want, but have bipartisan buy-in. Which is the riskier path for Democrats politically?
Well, we have to go big. This COVID-19 package is important. Everywhere I go, people are talking about whether we have access to vaccine. The tourism industry in this country is struggling. The restaurant industry, small businesses in general, it need additional relief. State and local governments need help. So we can't play politics with the very future of this country. If Republicans say they love America, if Republicans want to help Americans, then they'll get on board and support the Biden proposal for COVID-19 relief and as soon as possible. But, Anna, we don't have a choice. We have to move forward. All the deaths that have occurred, we have to get our arms around this, or else we'll be a captive in this situation for quite some time. This package puts us in a forward position. FEMA is under my committee's jurisdiction. They have primary responsibility for addressing this. So from my vantage point, we have to support this. We have to move forward in as expeditious manner as possible. So if Republicans come, that's good. If they don't, Democrats are out to go forward.
Okay, Congressman, Chairman Benny Thompson, thank you very much for your time.